We want to learn together the different type of studies in pharmacovigilance. Our objective today is to learn about four phases in which the safety of a medicine is tested, to learn about the primary and secondary of studies, and to learn about post-authorization safety studies or PASS, post-authorization safety studies. Four phases of safety studies are preclinical animal studies, healthy human volunteer studies in phase 1, clinical trials, phase 2 and phase 3, and post-marketing surveillance, phase 4. These are the four phases of safety study. Preclinical, phase 1, on the healthy human volunteer study, phase 2 and 3 on the clinical trials, and phase 4 is the post-marketing surveillance. This is the four phase of the safety studies. The preclinical studies is the major organ toxicity will be studied. Chronic toxicity should be studied. Carcinogenicity, mutagenicity, that means able to induce genetic mutations or not. Teratogenicity, that means production, that means producing physical defects in the embryo of the mouses, ratties, animals or not. These are the preclinical studies. Major organ toxicity, chronic toxicity, carcinogenicity, mutagenicity, and teratogenicity. These are the preclinical studies. Post-marketing surveillance are spontaneous reporting, case control surveillance, registries, prescription event monitoring, and field studies. Post-marketing surveillance is spontaneous reporting, case control surveillance, registries, prescription event monitoring, and field studies. Spontaneous adverse drug report, adverse drug reaction reporting systems, and we should know a lot about this. And now this is written in my mother language. These are the reasons that can reduce the adverse drug reaction reports. The first reasons is that we don't know the mechanism to can report, to can send the reports. The second is we don't have the good form to can reports. The third is we don't know the importance of the reporting. The fourth is this is not important for us and we don't care about this. The fifth is we don't have a good knowledge of the ADR form. The sixth is we don't like to get involved in the office involvement job, and we don't like to involve in the official job of the ADR reporting. The seventh is we have a fear of the a court and the criminal post effect of the ADR report. The eighth is about that we don't have a self-confidence that what's happened for this drug after this adverse drug report, and maybe this happens for this is a bad this is a bad idea for about the physicians or the pharmacist. bad effect for the physician or pharmacist. Factor affecting the spontaneous reporting of the ADRs in 1988 is when asked about the hesitation to report suspected ADR to FDA, the Rhode Island physician gave as reasons the 38% didn't have a form, the 28% unsure drug-caused reaction, the 24% reaction expected, the 21% report that didn't know how to report, the 21% didn't occur to them, and 57% was unfamiliar with the FDA forms and guidelines for ADR reporting. This is a factor affecting spontaneous reporting. Factor affecting spontaneous reporting of ADR. When asked about hesitation to report suspected ADR to FDA, Rhode Island's physician gave as reason. This is again, that's one, and 21% didn't have form, 10% was unsure drug cause reaction, 30% reaction expected, 24% didn't know how to report, and 8% didn't occur to them. This is a factor affecting in 1988. Example of risk data from cohort study design. The event of the used drug was 50 event. And 9,950 was no event. The total is 10,000. When there was a no drug, 20 event we have, and 9,980 was no event. The total again is 10,000. Okay, the total of a no drug event and used drug event is 70, and the no event of used drug and no drug is this number, and the total of a used drug and no drug is 20,000. You see, the total is the 10,000. First 10,000 is A plus 3, A plus C, and the second one is a B plus D. This is actually the one formula. We use it later. Another example of a risk data from a case control study design is a used drug case is 10, no drug case is 90, C, and A plus C is 100. Used drug control is 20, B, no drug control is 480, D, and B plus D is 500. Now, the used drug total is 30, and no drug total is 570, and the total is 600. The registries. This is outcome based. Outcome based ratio is cancer. Drug based as a part of risk minimization program, for example, clozapine monitoring scheme. Patients who become pregnant whilst using a drug and the outcomes. Two types of studies. Actually, I don't know what was the explanation of this page, and I will comment the explanation of this page on the comment of this video. Two types of study we have: primary study and secondary study. On the primary study, we have experiments, clinical trials, cross-sectional study, or surveys. On the secondary study, we will have reviews or overviews. We have a narrative review. We have a systematic review and meta-analysis. We have a guidelines. We have a decision analysis. and we have a economic analysis review article. Type of medical articles. We have an original article, review article, case reports, editorial. We have a short communication or short papers. We have a letter to the editors, and we have a personal view. The hierarchy of evidence. The hierarchy of evidence, on the top is the systematic review and meta-analysis. The number 2 is a randomized controlled trial. The 3 is a cohort study. 4th is a case control study. The 5th is a cross-sectional surveys. 6th is a case reports. 7th is expert opinion, and 8th is a anecdotal. And this is a hierarchy of studies. Again, systematic review and meta-analysis, randomized controlled double-blind study, cohort studies, case control studies, case series, case report, ideas, editorial, opinion studies, animal research, and on the bottom we have in vitro test tube researches. Okay, what is the post-authorization safety study, or PASS, post-authorization safety study? A post-authorization safety study, or PASS, is defined as any study relating to an authorized medicinal product conducted with the aim of identifying, characterizing, or quantifying a safety hazard, confirming the safety profile of the medicinal product, or of measuring the effectiveness of risk management measures. A PASS may be initiating, managed, or financed by a marketing authorization holder voluntarily or pursuant to an obligation imposed by a competent authority. Again, a post-authorization safety study is defined as any study, relating to authorized medicinal product conducted with the aim of identifying, characterizing, or quantifying a safety hazard, confirming the safety profile of the medicinal product, or measuring the effectiveness of risk management measure. Okay, this is a post-authorization safety study, only safety study. A post-authorization safety study may be initiated, managed, or financed by a marketing authorization holder voluntarily or pursuant to an obligation imposed by a competent authority. Post-authorization safety study. This module concerns PASS, which are clinical trial or non-interventional studies, and does not address non-clinical safety study. This is not a non-clinical safety study. This is a non-interventional study. This is clinical trial or non-interventional study. Non-interventional study include database research or review of records where all the events of interest have already happened. When it includes database research or review of record where all the events of interest have already happened. This may include case control, cross-sectional cohort, or other study design making secondary use of data. PASS objectives: to quantify potential or identify risk, for example, to characterize the indicate rates, estimate the rate ratio or rate differences in comparison to a non-exposed population or population exposed to another drug or class of drugs, and investigate risk factors and effect modifiers. This is a PAS. This is a quantify potential or identify risk, to characterize the incidence rate, estimate the rate ratio or rate difference in comparison to a non-exposed population or population exposed to another drug or class of drug, and investigate risk factors and effect modifiers, to evaluate risks of a medicinal products used in patients' population for which safety information is limited or missing. For example, pregnant women, a specific age group, patients with renal or hepatic impairment. For example, to evaluate risk of medicinal product using patient population for which safety information is limited or missing in pregnant women, a specific age group, patient with renal or hepatic impairment, we should use post-authorization safety study. This is one of the objectives. Another objective of post-authorization safety objective is to evaluate the risk of medicinal product after long-term use, to provide evidence about the absence of risk, to assess pattern of a drug utilization that add knowledge on the safety of medicinal product. For example, indication, dosage, co-medication, medication errors. To assess pattern of a drug utilization that add knowledge on the safety of a medicinal product. For example, to add knowledge about the indication, to add knowledge about the dosage, to add knowledge about the co-medication, to add knowledge about the medication error beneath the post-authorization safety study. Why? Because these are about the absence of the risk. Provide evidence about the absence of the risk. We want to evaluate the risk of medicinal product after long-term use. To measure the effectiveness of a risk minimization activity. We want to measure the effectiveness of the risk minimization activity. Okay, methods for post-authorization safety study. Which method we have? What is the study designed for? Post-authorization safety study: active surveillance, intensive monitoring scheme, prescription event monitoring, registries. Intensive monitoring scheme, prescription event monitoring, and registries. In the active surveillance, we have intensive monitoring schemes, prescription event monitorings, and registries. Observational studies, cross-sectional studies, survey, cohort study, case control study, and other designs. Clinical trials, we have drug utilization studies and data sources. The methods is a data sources, drug utilization studies, clinical trials, observational study, and active surveillance. In the observational study, actually I like it, we have a cross-sectional study, we have a cohort study, we have a case control study, or other designs. The clinical trial registry is a clinicaltrials.gov, and in my country this is irct.ir. Okay, this post authorization safety study is finished. We understand the type of medical articles: original article, review article, case report, editorial, short communication, letter to the editor, personal view. Secondary study is a review, narrative review, systematic review, meta-analysis, guideline, decision analysis, economic analysis. Primary studies, experiments, clinical cross-sectional studies, survey. Registries is a disease or outcome based, for example, cancer, or is it drug based, is as a part of risk minimization program, for example, close-up monitoring scheme is a drug based registries, or is a disease outcome based is a cancer registries. Patient who become pregnant with using a drug and the outcomes. This is disease outcome based. Pregnant is a disease outcome based. Or is a close-up monitoring scheme? This is drug-based registries. In this example, we learned the risk data from a cohort study or case control study. These are the factors affecting spontaneous reporting. Didn't have a form, unsure drug cause reaction, didn't know how to report. Post-marketing surveillance, spontaneous reporting, case controls and registries, prescription event monitoring, field studies, preclinical studies, the major organ toxicity, mutagenicity, teratogenicity, the 4 phase of the studies, we have it, and we have it. Now I learned actually all the objectives. I hope you learn it and enjoy. Bye bye.